Let's talk about the network security. First question, what is the HTTP session? Whenever the client asks the web container, the Tomcat for example, the first request is made from the client side, a new HTTP session object is created. The client can also set an attribute in the HTTP session and it will be stored there on the server side. So every time you create a new session, the HTTP session object is created by the container and the unique ID is assigned to a session. So HTTP session is basically a map from string keys to some arbitrary values. Once you put something in the session, the container holds a reference to the session and the session holds a reference to your object. It will stay there for some time. How is the session identifier stored? The session identifier is stored on the client side, usually as the sessionId cookie, browser cookie. Session ID can also be sent using the URL inside the URL, but the browser cookie is the preferred way. It's much safer. Session data is stored on the server, possibly some database. So whenever the clients will ask for the first time, the session ID will be sent to the client, and for the additional request from the client side, he has to send the same session ID for the server to get the corresponding HTTP session and to authorize the same client. How is the client identified using a session? So each session is identified, as we already said, by the session ID. And the client sends it in the HTTP header of every request. If you are in a cluster, for example, let's assume that we have a router here and two instances of your server. The request can go either to server A or server B. In that case, the session variables, the sessions, should be synchronized between two instances, because the requests from the same client may go either to server A or B. Even if the first request was to server A, the second can go to here. So the session must be synchronized between the servers. When can an item be removed from a session? So we have three situations here. The first situation is when we explicitly remove it using the remove attribute. The second possibility is that you invalidate the whole session, and the third possibility is that the session expires after some time set by the container. What is a sticky session? Let's assume we have several clients and several nodes of the same application, several instances of the same application. Every request, normally, without the sticky sessions, can go through the load balancer to different node. But if you introduce a sticky session, every request from the same client will go to the server set at the first request. So if this client will make another request, it will also go to node 2. Without the sticky sessions, it would go to other nodes as well. That's it about network security. Thank you for watching.